inflation, but basically it's following the ISM. And rates have been following the same pattern. You see, rates should have come lower. They need to come lower because we need to roll the debt. We've talked about this. That's part of the everything code, fundamental part. And ISM, because rates are so high, has meant that Main Street has been screwed while Wall Street's made money from debasement. Earnings versus scarce assets. This is the issue that they need to solve, and they need to get rates lower. They get rates lower. Why? Why do we have an elongated business cycle that looks like virtually no other other time? It's because, and I only just found this out redoing the work on the everything code recently, is that in 2021-22, they actually extended the maturity of the debt from 4 years to 5 years. So that extension of the maturity of debt has pushed out the business cycle a year. The 4-year cycle this time around is a 5-year cycle. We don't know what the next one will be until we see where they all end up getting refinanced. Whether it comes back to 4 because they managed to get some stuff at the long end, or whether they shorten it because everything's in the short end. We don't know yet. But this one is a 5-year cycle. And this is what it looks like. 5.4-year sine curve. 5.4 years is the exact average weighted maturity of the debt. And it tells us the ISM should peak by 2026. We think liquidity probably peaks before that, as the rate of change of ISM changes and the rate of change of liquidity changes. Our best guess remains well into 2026, probably Q2.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news related channel. And although the sky is falling, we are extending our timelines and opening up some of the positive aspects of the bear market that we are talking about this morning. Now, a lot of retail investors, they're fearful, they're negative, they think this market is going to zero. And that couldn't be more clear when you look at the sentiment on social media. It's not just the XRP community, it's Solana, it's Ethereum, and of course, it is Bitcoin investors as well. But here's what I'm anticipating, guys. US government is back. ETFs are going live. And here's the most important part. Liquidity cycle has been extended, like Raul Paul stated here. We could be looking at a bullish 2026. It really depends on if we get the Clarity Act. And that's what I'm going to break down later on in the episode. We do already have 1,200 live listeners, 715 watching on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and remember, tomorrow night, 9 p.m., Jake Claver will be joining this show to talk about many of his theories, many of the speculation heading into the back end of the year. Now, during today's episode, I'm also going to show you guys some brand new XRP ETF data as XRP passed Bitcoin when it came to day one inflows. Now, what do I mean by that? When BlackRock initially launched their Bitcoin product in early 2024, we saw $111 million worth of daily inflows. Canary Capital, a product that was niche, it was small. This company only has $200 million in assets under management, did $250 million worth of inflows. Now factor in that we could see Bitwise, Grayscale, Franklin Templeton ETFs all approved later this week. And you may get that euphoric moment we've all been waiting for. Now, another positive aspect of this whole narrative is that when you look at the XRP Bitcoin pairing, the XRP versus Bitcoin pairing is one of the strongest in crypto. And I can say that very strong. Now, there's another exciting detail here. XRP versus Ethereum just broke out. So the XRP ETH pairing looks like it's ready to break out. XRP versus Bitcoin pairing looks like it's ready to break out. These ETF products are approved. Maybe that gives us the momentum where even if Bitcoin is trading down and sideways, we are still seeing XRP perform well here in the back end of 2025. But if you guys enjoy this content, smash that like button. I want to give a massive thank you and shout out to the 190 brand new members of the Good Evening Crypto community. Now, yesterday, we do our Sunday morning update. I forgot to publish it. So guys, I'm going to be publishing that Sunday morning update as a Monday morning update after I do this episode here. So if you remember, you're like, where's that Sunday morning update? It is coming later this afternoon. So shout out to you guys. And if you enjoy the new emojis in chat, thank you, Johnny Krypto. Johnny Krypto loves the emojis. He was using the AI, designing those things. So I hope you guys like the new emojis and I hope you're having some fun. Again, just to give you a brief update on what's kind of happening in the market here, Bitcoin trading at $93,000. Ethereum is $3 grand flat. XRP's trading at about 218. Solana is 134. Dogecoin's 15 cents. Cardano, 47 cents, down 20% on the 7-day. And some of these altcoins, guys, are getting demolished. Now, XRP is down 13% on the 7-day, but as I'm going to go through later on in the episode, if you look at the actual pairing, the XRP versus Bitcoin and the XRP versus ETH pairings both look fairly strong this morning. Now, I want to give you one more update before we dive into our articles. Charles Hoskinson responded saying he would come on to the Good Evening Crypto show. If you guys want that to happen, smash that like button. We're going to be very persistent with this Charles Hoskinson interview. I think that'd be a great time to give us some answers to the questions that we have, not only about U.S. politics and what's happening in the background, but what does the future of Cardano and Midnight look like? And maybe we'll open it up to an XRP conversation. What does he think of Ripple? What does he think of the XRP ledger? I think we could do some great stuff if we're able to have this conversation. So help us out. Smash that like button on today's episode. I'm also going to be very persistent with the tweets on Twitter. So take that for what it is. That's kind of what it's going to be. He has not fully committed. He said he would come on, but he didn't respond to my second message scheduling it. So I'm excited. I think we can get it done. You got to be optimistic. You got to stay persistent. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here. Now, to kick off today's episode, we're going to dive right into the exciting content that you guys showed up here for. Now, I talked about dark pools yesterday during my video that I released 5:30 Eastern time on Sunday. So what is the whole speculation here? Large companies already have large liquidity orders here to take profit on XRP. And as I'm going to show you guys through this little thread, when the fundamental landscape flips back to risk on and uncertainty and headwinds are behind XRP, Cypress stated we will easily hit 382, 444, and 517. Now, I want our listeners to remember, this is for the short term. This is not over the next year. This is not over the next 2.5, 3 years. Over the long run, nobody knows how valuable XRP could be. But if we're talking about an impulse wave after we break all-time high, these are the price targets. These are the price targets where institutions are planning on taking profit. Now, he continues here. Our institutional software has shown dark pools sitting at each of those levels, and our algorithms have not missed yet. Now, as for his accumulation ranges, 221, 206, 190, and in a black swan, 156 for the XRP price chart. And you guys saw on this liquidation event here, reported at 159, very, very close to that level. And we know $1.90 has essentially been that iron wall for XRP, have not really dipped below this on the weekly chart. So keep that in mind. But we're going to kick off today's episode going over some of these dark pools and listening to some of these price targets, because although it may not be what our listeners want to hear, we want to be as optimistic and realistic as possible. And if these are the price targets that are going to be hit next, I want our listeners to understand we may hit some resistance at these levels on the stairway to heaven. Now let's talk about Cypress. Here we go.
Reiterate that. Why I said that I'm going to be accumulating some XRP at about $2.21 and below is because we have some resting buy dark pools that our algorithms are picking up on at these levels. And to the upside via our upside targets in the $4.44 range and $5.17 range that I gave you guys over on X that people called speculative hype and how are you making up these numbers and da 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 da. Again, the retail crowd, and I'm not trying to seem arrogant here, it's just that the retail crowd speaks off of emotion and ignorance. They don't speak off of actual education and understanding about how the markets work. But here in CyberX, we've already seen well in advance that there are resting sell dark pools sitting at $3.82, $4.44, and $5.17, which means there are resting limit orders and iceberg orders via large institutions having parked liquidity sitting at those levels for orders to be executed in the form of sells once price hits those levels. That is insane to understand and have insights into that information, because here you have one crowd of bullish moonboy hopium and hypists out there telling you guys that XRP is going to hit $1,000 by January 2026 and blah, 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 blah. But here in this community, we know that once price hits these levels, we are going to see a battle between buyers and sellers. And if buyers cannot overpower sellers at these specific sell dark pools, we are likely going to see some sell pressure or possible retracement. So these are perfect profit-taking areas of interest that, again, we have access to and give our private community in advance way before they are ever even hit.
So pretty interesting, guys. Now, the entire premise here is that you're going to see resistance at these specific price targets. Doesn't mean we're going to, doesn't mean this is going to be the peak of the market. Doesn't mean we won't make it above these ranges. It just means that large pools of capital, potentially billions of dollars, are parked at these price targets, ready to dump on the open market when these levels are hit. So that's something that we really need to understand. Somebody said F you in chat. That's hilarious. Shout out to that person. But here's the reality, guys, is that if we do hit resistance at these levels, it doesn't mean it's over. It just means this is where institutions are taking profit. And we're getting a lot of questions about the ETFs that are scheduled to go live later this afternoon. We're going to talk about that, guys. Franklin Templeton is scheduled to go live on the 18th. That would be tomorrow. Now, I haven't heard any official updates on this yet, but we did get a statement out of the CEO of Franklin Templeton in regards to the XRP ETF. They stated, the launch of the XRP ETF marks a significant milestone in the institutional adoption for XRP, and we are eager to facilitate this transition for our clients. What does this mean here? It really just means we're getting more ETFs. Thousands of people are going to be buying XRP, and eventually there's going to be a supply shock on the order books because there's only so much XRP available in the open market. The people who are short-sighted right now and are focused on, are we in a bear market? Is the sky falling? Well, here's the great news for all you bear market people. We're 30% down from our all-time high with Bitcoin. So even if you just come to the realization that we're in a bear market, which I disagree with, you're not even close to calling the top. So act accordingly. Don't dump your entire bag. Don't think you have it all figured out because Bitcoin is down 30% over the last month or so. Instead, do your research. Do you think this market is going to be bullish in 2026? And then find a reasonable assumption as to why you believe yes or no. Now, here's some optimistic news. I'm a buyer, said this person, of the standard deviation moves to the downside. They don't come often, but when they do, they tend to be excellent buying opportunities. Now, what are these standard deviations? This is the 30% downside from the previous all-time high that I had discussed. We peaked at about 79. We came back to 49. We peaked at about 100 and I think it was 8. We came down to 74. We went to 126. We're now currently trading at $95,000. And these are the opportunities where regular people are fearful and veterans are buying the dip. And for me personally, I'm totally transparent with you guys. Over the weekend, I did take the opportunity to buy some XRP and some Bitcoin. Won't say the amount, but for me, I'm looking at the prices 30% down in the last few months. Over the long run, I know Bitcoin is going to be well over $100,000 in value. I know XRP, $2.10, well undervalued in this current market environment. So big thank you guys. And we are getting a bunch of donations. I want to give a big thank you to you all. Bradley Benjamin just became a brand new member. Shout out to you, 192 members in chat. Astro said, and thank you for the $5. Abs, in 2020, I had the opportunity to interview a quantum financial specialist, Charlie Ward, to share the astrology of the 2020 reset. Can we please do this? Now, I'm very cautious about some of the astrology stuff. I'm a believer, right? Millionaires don't use astrology. Billionaires do. I'm a big believer in that, but it has to be optimistic. It has to be accurate. I don't want to give people that hopium. Now, big thank you for the $5 there. Jay commented for the $5 donation as well. Big thank you. GEC community living in New York, you can now do Robinhood crypto transfers to your wallet. Prior to today, this wasn't allowed. We also saw Samsung add Ethereum capabilities to their native wallet over the weekend. That's another bullish sign for the market. But for today's episode, I am going to show you guys XRP did outpace, you're hearing this correctly, the Bitcoin ETF on its day one launch numbers. Let's get into this. So BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF got crushed by Canary Capital's ETF on day one inflows by more than double the size. BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF pulled in $111 million, but Canary Capital, which only manages $200 million in assets, had inflows of over $245 million in only 12 hours of trading. Now, he gave credit here. Prepare for the maximum XRP FUD from the Bitcoin maxi camp. Their fear has been validated. And I think that this has got to show you guys, institutions are interested in XRP. BlackRock just got beat out by a company that's less than 1/100th of the size. So when you have these bigger companies like Franklin Templeton, which BlackRock I think is 12 trillion in assets under management, Franklin Templeton is 8% of that at 1.5 trillion. We may see $250, $300 million worth of inflows. We're even seeing people anticipate $500 million worth of inflows. And we know the assets come in, the order books are hit, and then they have to go out and actually purchase those brand new units of XRP. So guys, I want to hear from the chat. One's in chat if you're surprised by this data. Two's in chat if you thought I bit. would be outperformed by Canary Capital. And I want to give a big thank you to 2122 Lucky, another brand new member, 193 members of the Good Evening Crypto community. Shout out to you all. Even the Steelers fans, guys. Johnny Krypto, big Steelers fan. We're riding high in New England being a Patriots fan over here. Now back to the ETF news. Here's another update. While the entire market is seeing outflows, Bitcoin had over $1 billion worth of outflows. Ethereum, nearly $730 million worth of outflows last week. Solana saw $50 million in inflows, and XRP saw $243 million in inflows. This is basically, even for the bears out there, this would be during a bear market. Sentiment is really low. Investors are really scared. Institutions not super, not endorsing these assets publicly yet, which we will see at some point. For me, this is a major sign. When we get these 3, 4, 5 other ETFs, someone said, Patriots, boo this man. Listen, people are salty. Too much winning. We're tired of winning in New England. I got to be honest. It was good to have a couple years feeling like the rest of the league. Now, getting back into this content, if you think about what's going to happen when all these different ETFs are approved, supply shock. Simple, 2 words, supply shock on the open market. Now, we've done the math. We need a few $1 billion worth of inflows for this price chart to move. If we can get an 80-cent price move for XRP, that could dramatically change where this project is at over the next few months. Because if the market is in a downtrend and we're looking at XRP outperforming, breaking out on the ETH versus XRP chart, breaking out on the Bitcoin versus XRP chart, and for our newer investors, what that means is that Bitcoin would be trading down and sideways or staying at the same value while XRP is rising, right? Or maybe you have a situation where Bitcoin is trading down. It's going into a bear market, but XRP is holding that $2 price. That's why those trading pairs are so important. It's not necessarily about the US dollar value. It's about how XRP is performing compared to other projects in the market today. We are 17 minutes into today's episode. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. We already passed 366 likes on the show today. Huge shout out and thank you to the best community in all of crypto. And Verhoofty said, this market has me so confused. Think I'll just sit tight for a little bit longer. That's great words of advice from Verhoofty, another daily listener. Shout out to Verhoofty in chat. I think a lot of people could do themselves a service by just sitting on their hands, not deciding like they know what's going to happen over these next few months, because we could see 2026 be a very bullish year for altcoins and be a very bullish year for Bitcoin. And I've got a brand new video out of Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent kind of highlighting this, but let's break down some of the ETF data this morning. Now, Franklin Templeton's ETF is scheduled to launch tomorrow. You're hearing that correctly. The $1.5 trillion asset manager is scheduled to launch their XRP ETF on the New York Stock Exchange and the CBOE starting tomorrow. Now, the ticker symbol here is EZRP. You heard that correctly. Basically like easy XRP. That's exactly, and I love this comment here. It says, this is the same as it's always been. Relax, buy the dips, or turn the channel. That's how we should be operating. We shouldn't be fearful. Nothing has changed fundamentally about these crypto projects, right? And I know a lot of people are focused on that, we'll call him Einstein article and email that came out over the weekend where he may be involved with the inception of Bitcoin. You want to talk about a black swan, guys? If Satoshi turns out to be somebody like quote unquote Einstein, that would be a black swan case scenario. I don't believe that to be the case, though, just to want to preface that. But we are seeing that get a lot of attention. And if we see that Satoshi is one of these nefarious people with a really bad reputation, rightfully so, that could be a very damaging moment for the industry. And it reminded me when Dan Pena was sitting on stage back in 2019, 2020, right around that COVID crash. And he said, if people knew who started Bitcoin, it would go to effing zero. And he really emphasized that. Now, he kind of indicated that it might have been Vladimir Putin. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's worst case scenario. I think this other narrative would be worst case scenario, although I don't believe in it. But I thought it would be worthy of kind of sharing my take here. Big thank you to Noah Bennett, a member, and the $4.99. It's tempting to switch from DCAing to limit with all this news and FUD. One other great aspect about this, we're seeing a lot of fear and fake news in the market. Earlier this week, what did we see out of MicroStrategy? There was a huge article that someone said they're a Falcons fan. Tough day for you guys yesterday, too. Falcons. Shout out to Falcons fans out there. Johnny Krypto's best friend is a Falcons fan, so I know them very well. Astrology commented, the Astro logos. Big thank you for the $5 Canadian. No hopium in my astrology. Love to hear that. Big shout out to you. I need a crypto specialist to help me share this information. November 20th, new moon shall be interesting bull run through spring of 2026. Listen, you tell me what I want to hear. I'm always going to sign up for that. And someone said, and there's a lot of great comments, but guys, I will check that out. I want to make sure that I'm providing accurate information. There's so many times that people have told me July 24th, 2025, $15, August 21st, 2025, $9, September 7th, 2025, $30. Hasn't happened. So again, I'm just hesitant about some of the price indicators for what this stuff really means. Now, this is a great comment here. You're talking about generational wealth. You will need patience and a lot of it. It's the hardest part. Just saying, I'm not hating. I'm here and can tell everyone that is a true story. Shout out to the Blazing Bandit in chat with some great advice, guys. Buckle in, strap in. This community is not going anywhere. I know there are thousands of people who follow this channel every day that regardless of if we're in a bull market or a bear market, and big thank you, good comment here. I can't predict the price. I can predict the energy. But there's a lot of people here who think we're in a bull market. There's a lot of people who think we're in a bear market. For us, we know this technology is just getting started. Whether we go down for the next 3 months or up for the next 6 months, it doesn't matter fundamentally about how successful crypto will be. When this market is regulated, as these ETFs go live, it's a simple math equation. More money comes into the market, more value there is in the market. Very simple. And someone said Abs is a BTC maxi. You fake news, and that everybody who watched this program knows.
You don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You fake news.
Very consistent here. Now, if I was a maximalist, which I don't consider myself to be, I would definitely be an XRP maxi. So shout out to you guys. And I want to give a big thank you. A logo with the $9 and a member in chat. Thank you so much. Months ago, GEC said ETFs approval were the beginning, and XRP, it's happening. Imagine all the other catalysts. Also, do I need an LLC, a trust, to avoid taxing XRP? Now, what's great about that, we're going to be having Jake on the show to kind of talk about this. But one of the ways that I'm taking advantage of great tax policy is by using ITrust, a sponsor of this channel. Now, the great part about this, by investing in crypto through a Roth IRA, once you're 59 years old and have held your funds for 5 years, you can take profit tax free. And there's a lot of listeners out there, because I can see the demographics who watch the show that are between the age of 55 and 69. Those are the people that I'm talking to as well. If you have large Roth IRAs, you want crypto exposure, ITrust is the best way to do so. And by clicking on the link below, you're going to get $100 free to kick off your account. Massive thank you to another new member, the family right there. Look at that, guys. Beautiful family in chat. Shout out to you. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel as well. Now, Chad comes in with the $5. You're going for the streak, man. You've donated, I think, every day last week and this week. So 6 days in a row. Big thank you to Chad. I see you changed your profile picture. He said, Abs, XRP looks like it's starting to break away from the rest of the crypto market and establish its own momentum. What do you think? That's exactly the case that I've kind of outlined here, where I think that we're seeing real demand come into XRP while the rest of the market is bleeding. Even Bitcoin, guys, for all the Bitcoin maximalists out there, Bitcoin's black swan is if it stops being the number one digital asset. And as we see all these other use cases come into the market, I think retail is going to become much more educated about what Bitcoin provides as opposed to what XRP provides and what Ethereum provides and what Solana provides. And as we go through this education process and people figure out the real value of XRP, I think we are going to see a decoupling. Now, I told you guys earlier, the Bitcoin versus XRP pairing looks extremely bullish, extremely bullish. And I'm going to show you that. I want to give a big shout out to Carl. He was talking about Cardano last week. We think about you guys. He said, love it, Abs. Let's get it. They don't know how big this will become. It's laughable. Exactly. You know what? Because of that great comment, I've got a video that I'm going to play. Just give me a moment here. We do have let me get the live like counter up. We got 4,000 listeners here. We got over 1,450 watching on YouTube. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We got a great video prepared for the 5:30 p.m. update as well. But I'm looking for this Charles Hoskinson video that DAI shared. It was so great because what he says here, and I guess I didn't save it in my bookmark. So I apologize, guys. I'm going to have to locate that in the background. We'll play this short video here while I do that. Here's Eric Trump talking about, if you can't handle the volatility, get out of the market.
You know, if you can't handle volatility, stay out of cryptocurrency and don't bother. But, you know, go into treasuries where you're going to have zero volatility and you're going to click away at 3% returns. Go have a great time doing that, and I'll see you in 10 years.
And that's what keep that in mind, guys. As crypto investors, it's not about these next 3 months. It's not even about these next 6 months. We know we've purchased a stake in the future of finance. We need to wait for the market value to really come to fruition. This person said Eric is correct. And I want to give a big thank you and shout out to the gifted membership here, XRP Timester 1979. We love those 1970s people out there. Shout out to 1970s legend in chat for becoming a legend after donating $500. So big shout out to you. Now, the Astro Logos commented, I made a video on my channel about Ripple's court case 2020 through 2025. I share the significant dates in reflection to the astrology as well as peering into 2026. It's practical information. Astro Logos, is that the name of your channel? I'm going to check out some of your videos. And if I like what you got to say, I'd love to talk about it on here because I want to provide accurate information. Very consistent about that. But with that being said, let me just pull up this video from Charles Hodgkinson in the background. What was the name of BitBoy's old channel? It's Discover Crypto now. I believe that they publish this video later today. So just give me one moment here, guys, and shout out to them. They do follow the channel. It's worthy of kind of hearing this 60-second clip and I found it. So let me just pull it up and I'll just share it for you all. Here we go. And thank you for your patience, guys. Really appreciate it here on these Solo Dolo shows. This is Charles Hodgkinson talking about how crypto investors are too short-sighted. Here it is.
Crypto is the opt-out. Crypto is the exit. Crypto is the solution. And so, yes, the markets go up and yes, the markets go down. But there's some directionality to that. The long term, we win. There's 550 million people in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, and there's going to be 1 billion by 2030. 1 billion. The majority of the world's stocks and bonds and equities will be in the cryptocurrency space by 2030. And all of y'all paper hands are just running around. Oh no, the markets are falling, the markets are falling. What do I do? What did I do? We all headed for 10 trillion, guys, because trillion doesn't even mean anything anymore. The dollar doesn't mean anything anymore. Everything ought to be priced in crypto.
So I don't know about everything being priced in crypto, but that message is so perfect for what our community needs to understand. The GEC community, I know a lot of you guys, you've been with us for years. You're not going to leave this market if we go to $10 in December. You're not going to leave this market if we go to $50 by June. Our investors, our community, we are here for the next 4, 5, 10 years to really profit off the development of these assets. And what Ripple is doing, they're adding fuel to the XRP fire by going out, acquiring companies, helping companies launch ETFs, launching a stable coin, driving smart contracts and real world use cases onto the ledger. It's all going to take time. And I think for our younger people out there, I gave a message to the 55 to 69s. Here's a message for the 21 to 38. Relax. You got nothing but time. And I think what's so great about that is that if you're in this market and you're that young age of 24, 21, or you're 37, 38 years old, you're going to wake up 10 years from now, still be insanely young, have your whole life ahead of you, and 10 years of crypto profit in your portfolio. So really think about that before you sell your bags, before you step out of the market, before you feel like if we don't go to 589 tomorrow, I'm leaving. Well, then you're built to get cooked. You're like a turkey on Thanksgiving, right? So shout out to you guys and a big thank you for the donation here. Another donation, because why not? Love this community. Thank you to our member, A-Logo9 in chat for the $2 donation. Greatly appreciated. And that's all I got to say, guys. If you're paper hands, if you're the guy who thinks we're either going to take off tomorrow or go to zero, you have the wrong idea about how this market operates. Zoom out, look at 10 years of data. And here's a great piece of data for our newer investors. Does anybody know the price of Bitcoin 10 years ago today? I'd like to hear some of your thoughts on that. What was the price of Bitcoin 10 years ago today? Then we're going to apply this same concept to altcoins. Guys, the price of Bitcoin 10 years ago, $275. Mic drop. That means if you put $1,000 into this market 10 years ago, even during this huge, great pullback that we had today, you would still have over $370,000 in profit. So that is the type of generational wealth that we're talking about. And I think it's more probable for projects like XRP. It's more probable for projects like even HBAR or Ondo or some of these other legit ecosystems, Chainlink, AVAX, Cardano. Since we're talking about Cardano, my belief is undervalued, like these assets are dramatically undervalued and they're not going to reach fair value until until these markets are regulated and real world products are in the USA. I was getting a little distracted by the live chat. Big thank you guys. We got nearly 5,000 live listeners, 1,546 watching on YouTube. If you enjoy this content, smash that like button. We got 516 likes on the program. Also, major update for you all. Jake Claver will be joining us Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. You guys can come in here, ask all your questions. We're going to be doing a live interview. We're going to be taking donations, answering a lot of the questions that XRP investors have. And I'm really looking forward to it, guys. I think I'm going to be able to ask a lot of questions that our live chat wants to ask. And I've started to prepare for that and really, figure out the structure of how this interview is going to work. Because if Jake is correct, we're all going to be rich. But if he's not correct, I'd love to hear what his pivot is going to be and kind of what his thoughts are on 2026. If maybe we enter the year at $3 or $5. So keep that in mind, guys. And I want to give a huge thank you and shout out to all of our daily listeners because the community just continues to grow every day. Despite this bear market, despite this short-term pullback, it is the Good Evening Crypto community that shows up every single day and is very consistent about how you're operating in this market. Autumn commented, Autumn, will shout out to you, very important member of the community and a subscriber to the Good Evening Crypto channel. Abs juggling all the tabs, open, talking, chats, super chats. Oh my, that's funny. My mom actually asked me, she said, how do you read the chat and talk at the same time? I don't know. Maybe it's just because I spent 25% of my life streaming, it's 20% of my life I've been doing this show. So maybe it's just like second nature that I can kind of read the chat, talk at the same time. I feel very blessed to do what I do every single day. And that's what I'm going to talk about right now. Once again, this is a update from Bitwise CEO. So this guy will be launching an XRP ETF maybe later this week. We don't know definitively for Bitwise. Could be on the 20th, could be on the 25th, but these products are scheduled to go live. And here's what he had to say about the death of the 4-year cycle. Here's what I see happening on 4-year cycles. Now, the common view, people believe that in 4-year cycles, 2026 will be a down year for Bitcoin. And we're looking at the data right here, right? Past 3 years, up 150%, up 120%, and then we're only up 14% a year to date for Bitcoin. Second order effect, the 2025 sellers thus caused 2025 to be a down year and break the 4-year cycle. Again, we're kind of witnessing that right now because if Bitcoin ends up closing this year in the red, oh, Pancho, big shout out to you. Happy birthday, my friend. Pancho Hernandez, a daily listener, a member, multi-year listener. Shout out to you. Hopefully, we're sending you love and high vibes, and this will be the greatest year of your life. Your best years are in front of you, my friend. That goes for everybody who owns these digital assets. But the whole point that I was getting at here, the third order effect, because 2025 was a down year, 2026 is open season, and the 4-year cycle is broken. That is from Bitwise CEO. Really think about that. Why would Bitwise CEO be publishing this information? Why would he be telling us the 4-year cycle may be over? Well, it's because the data points to that. The 4-year cycle is not playing out the way that people thought it would. Alt season didn't hit in the spring. Bitcoin didn't peak in November. October, historically a bullish year, bearish month. October, historically a bearish month, and that's exactly what it was. I'm getting tongue twisted here. November, historically, very bullish month. What are we seeing? The inverse. So the two most bullish months in the history of crypto is October being 10 out of 12 years bullish and November being 9 out of 12 years bullish. What are we seeing today? Bearish October looking like bearish November for Bitcoin. That's not how a 4-year bull market works. So if that is completed and if that is the case, the bull market is broken. We're looking at something different. One's in chat if you think we're in a 4-year cycle. Two's in chat if you think the cycle is broken. I want to hear what you guys have to say. And we do have over 5,000 live listeners here. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. We have gone through some exciting updates. But again, big topic for today, institutional interest in XRP. It's significant, it exists, and it's only going to increase with the launch of these XRP ETFs towards the back end of 2025. So we're 35 minutes into the show. If you guys enjoyed today's content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. You're going to get an update every single day, 11 a.m., 5:30 p.m. And then on Tuesday, we'll be doing a 9 p.m. interview with Jake Claver on this very channel. So I'm excited about that. Here's an interview from Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary of the United States, outlining why 2026 could be a bullish year for markets overall, not just crypto. But here's the clip. If it loads for me. Here we go.
How long will that take?
I think we are going to see a substantial acceleration in the economy in the first, second quarter. And I think we are also, we're already seeing on many prices, as I said, we're bending that curve down, and the increase in real incomes, I think Americans are going to feel it in the first quarter, second quarter. I think 2026, thanks to President Trump's signature plans, is going to be a great year for working Americans, for the markets. I call it parallel prosperity. Main Street and Wall Street can both do great, but I think Main Street's going to have a great year in 2026.
Nice.
How long will that take?
That's great news for us, guys, because if you didn't know, we aren't Wall Street, we are Main Street. And I'm hoping that digital assets really begin to outperform. Now, I did ask you guys, do you believe we will see a $5.17 XRP in 2025? 70% say yes. 30% say no. Here's what I think. I think that as this market moves into Q1 2026, it's looking more and more like the first 2 quarters will be bullish. So if it doesn't happen in 2025, my belief is 2026 looking like a very exciting year, not just for Bitcoin, not just for XRP, but for capital markets overall. And this would be perfect for the Trump administration as we head into the midterm elections. Having the markets perform well, having Americans wealthy again, that's going to benefit Republicans at the voting booth. So that's just my thoughts on the day. If you enjoyed today's content, smash that like button. Big thank you to every single person who showed up in chat. We passed 611 likes on the show. I want to give a big thank you to the 195 members of the Good Evening Crypto community. It's looking like we will pass 200 members in the next calendar week. Huge shout out and thank you to you guys. You are the best community in all of crypto. We love you all. We appreciate you all. XRP trading back at about $2.21 this morning. Let's see if we can get the XRP price chart moving in the opposite direction of the rest of the market. That may be best case scenario for thousands of our listeners. So we love you guys. We appreciate you all. And we'll see you in the next one.
You're going to be so proud of your president, and I don't care about that. But you are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. See, the bottom line is... Well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news.
So if you're looking to do the same strategies that we implement here on Good Evening Crypto, I would advise everybody sign up for Merlin and click on the ITrust Capital link below. Now, why did these two ideas play off one another? Merlin is going to allow our listeners to understand where they should be taking profit in this market, and ITrust is going to allow our listeners to take that profit tax-free through an IRA product. Now, that's not the best part about this. We are giving new clients a $100 sign-up bonus using the promo code GEC9. So I would encourage everybody, click on the link below the video, use promo code GEC9, and